Hey guys, welcome back to the Girlfriends and Goals podcast YouTube channel. My name is Samaria and I'm joined by my best friend and co-host, Miyosha. And today we're reviewing Married at First Sight season 15, the reunion episode part 2. And
Hmm.
this is probably going to be a short review because it was a whole lot of the same stuff. But if you've been following along with Married at First Sight all season and you've watched our reviews, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe so that way next season when we start our reviews, they're at the top of your YouTube page. Yeah, I think that's it for
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess just let us know, how are y'all feeling about Married at First Sight? Let us know in the comments just about, are you excited for next season, or are you just going to watch our recaps? I don't know. I've been seeing mixed feelings
Yeah.
about the show in general. I feel like just about how things have been dragging on. So I'm curious to see like where our audience is on like their level of interest in even watching next season. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Very good. Okay, so it starts off with Alexis and Justin still in this fight. And one thing I will say is I need Kevin Frazier to stop trying to make fetch happen. Like they are not a good match. And the fact that he kept on pushing, like, oh, I really felt like there was something there. I really thought it could work. I think both of them would thrive in relationships with other people,
Hmm.
just not each other. And I was really happy that at the end of this episode, Alexis, why did I forget her name?
Because you're
Like,
already over it.
right. But Alexis was like, we're great people, but not for each other, because that was a realization that I had hoped she would have come to sooner in the season.
I think she did. She just didn't tell us.
I don't know. I feel like maybe she came to some type of realization, like I don't like him that much, but felt like, oh, I'm in this process, so that's my husband and I have to keep pushing. I don't think she realized like it's just like I don't see it for him, he doesn't see it for me, we're not a good match at all and I need to dip. I don't know, she
Mm.
seemed very like resolute with what she said this time, and I wish I would have seen that earlier in the season so that it didn't seem like, oh, see, he did this, like he did this small thing and now that's the end of us, like making mountains out of molehills, because she wasn't really in it.
Yeah, she was definitely more resolute today. I would say I wish she was more resolute at decision
Vision
day.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Pastor Cal kind of tried to bring that out of her, but we could talk about that later. But yeah, with Justin and Alexis, a lot of the same stuff. Watching Kevin with them, I just kept thinking, did you watch this season? Are
Okay.
you just watching the cliff notes? Maybe he stopped after the honeymoon, so he was going based off of that energy and
Yeah.
thought it may have carried over. I don't know. Him recommending that they keep trying was just strange out of all
Yeah.
the couples. So
Because we
yeah, I
can
really
all see they shouldn't.
yeah, I really wasn't here for that. The only other thing I wanted to comment on was Justin's brother.
Yes.
And I feel like both the siblings
We're
had
on
good
point.
feedback and they were on point, but I could appreciate his brother saying like, yeah, I was never going to be here for him giving up his dog. And
Hmm.
it would lead to resentment, which we knew, everybody knew.
Except them. Except him. Really.
Yeah, after the fact. But I also think it's because he was genuinely thinking like this could be the thing to make it work. And
Yeah.
if it works, okay, yeah, it sucks, but I have my wife, I have my marriage, and it would have been balanced out. But once he realized, like, no, that was not the trade-off.
Hmm.
I think for him, that's where the resentment really settled in. So
I really liked that Justin's brother was able to say more about why he was against it,
mhm.
because I think at the beginning of the season it just came off as he was coming at him really hard, like you not ready for this and you not this and you not that, and I think he really got a chance to express, hey, I know he's gonna go in and he's a lover, he has a big heart, and I just didn't see him coming out of this not hurt. And so I think that's something, also his immaturity is something, like he really wasn't
Yeah.
ready for this type of process. I'm not saying he's not ready for a marriage, because I hate when people people suggest that you have to be perfect to get into a marriage. So
Hmm.
it's not that he's not ready for marriage at all. I just think this process did not, this accelerated process didn't help his insecurities and his weaknesses as a person and a partner.
Yeah, I think the brother probably didn't want to say fully up front. Like he didn't want to be the one dragging him from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I think some of what Alexis's sister, what's her name, Amber, was saying
Yeah.
about how Justin presents is different
Mhm.
than maybe how he actually is.
Yeah.
As far as maybe his tone, aggressiveness, maybe that was some of what his brother knew was under the surface as well. And he just maybe didn't want to put him on blast, but also wanted to be passionate
Hmm.
about, like, hey, this is how I feel about it. Who
Yeah.
knows? I don't know. I'm over both of them
I
in
liked
this
what
process.
Alexis's sister had to say. I thought both of them were on point when she was like, it's like he got a lot more bite to him than what he presents, and it's like, dang, some of this stuff can be hurtful. Yeah,
Which is interesting in that, she kept describing Alexis as like spicy, spicy, how
yeah,
like, I don't know, walking away from that, I understood it, but it kind of felt like, well, because Alexis presents this way on the surface, it's okay for her to be that way. But
hmm,
because Justin, you can't really see it up front, he's kind of covert with it,
hmm,
that's the problem. When maybe both of them are spicy and very emotional and passionate, and it just isn't the right fit. But I think Justin's is just under the surface.
got a little spice to him. All right, so that's it for that portion. Next, I guess, was it the girls or did the experts come out next?
Oh, and I'll just say for the record, I still believe that she showed up at his house wanting something. I believe it a
Yeah,
1000%.
I think he's presenting it like she came to like sleep with him, and I don't know that that's the full story, but the way he gave like a portion of it, he means to suggest that that's what happened. And so now she's like, "No, you know what? I ain't come at all. How about that?" Like, since you want to
Girl,
suggest
you
things,
you know
I
you were
wasn't
there.
there.
You know you were there. And there's something about her that really lights up when I think she thinks that Justin is interested in her.
Mm.
Like when she was talking about all who's in her DMs and maybe about him being jealous or something. She was like, "Oh, you jealous?" Or
Yeah, you want
it's
to know?
yeah, it's like something lights up in her
Mhm.
when she feels like Justin is like jealous or chasing her. I don't know. And maybe it's the thrill of it for her. I don't know.
I don't know. I think overall, Alexis just seems like a fun person. So I think with that, I just interpreted it as her being goofy.
Mm.
So I didn't think like too much into it. But yeah. All right. So to the girls' conversation, which I don't really have too much to say about them. I think Morgan, I said Morgan had the nerve to say someone else took someone through hell and back.
She had the
Interesting.
nerve to be talking as much as she did. I felt like she was talking more than Lindy. I'm like,
Yeah.
girl, you were there for all of a week.
Yeah.
Why are you even contributing to the conversation as much?
Yeah.
And when they went on to say that they had been keeping her in the loop, I was just thinking, oh, I wish y'all hadn't.
Yeah, like but whatever.
Mm.
I don't really have much. I guess Sasha used to call Mitch out of his name.
Oh, before we get to that, back to Morgan. So
Yeah.
I feel like the truth finally came out
Mhm.
around what happened and how she found out about what was being said.
Mhm.
So she confirmed that she had went to Alexis.
To talk about.
Alexis saw her, being in turmoil or whatever, and then finally was like, "Hey, I'll let you know like what's been going on." So I will give Alexis some credit in that I think I was hard on her earlier on and that like she was being this gossipy person because the way that it was presented was like, oh, I heard this or whatever. And then I ran and told her when this doesn't sound to be what happened. It sounds like Morgan was the one coming to her and she finally was like, okay, girl, like I'm confirming what you're feeling or what you're seeing. I also want to add that I think that this whole Ben talking to Justin situation wasn't just about the degree. I think it was that he was not satisfied with whatever Morgan presented as in terms of being a partner. And he was telling Justin that. I think it was more than just a degree. So,
So I will say Alexis did allude to that on the after party one episode. I don't remember. I think it was like towards the beginning. Well, it had to have been towards the beginning, but she said like, she just kind of saw her friend in distress and so she did mention on the after party. Um yeah, I'm a little over Morgan and Ben, but
yeah.
yeah, it is what it is. So Morgan had a lot to say. Did you have anything else that came out of the girls' session?
Other than I was very surprised by Stasha calling him the B word every
Yeah, I didn't
time
like
she
that.
saw him because I mean, we know Mitch is Mitch and he gonna Mitch, but I felt like if it were a man saying that to a woman, or just I don't know, to me, based off of how things went down with Kristen and Mitch, granted, I don't know what all she was going back and telling them. I don't
Mhm.
think it warranted that level of disrespect.
Mm.
I felt like it was disrespectful
I'm
when you're
glad.
sticking your nose in someone else's business.
Yeah. I'm glad
And
he expressed that at the end and was just like, yeah, that actually because when they showed the clips, he was like laughing about it.
yeah.
And so I'm glad that he was like, no, I didn't like that at all. Because I know I like that's a boundary for me. Like, don't
Yeah.
call me nothing other than my name. So yeah.
Yeah, I was so surprised like that. I'm like, not Stasha. Oh,
She
no.
she said since day one she was over that man, which I understand, but still, like that's not cool.
You be over that man in private. And because Kristen wasn't bringing that kind of energy,
Yeah,
she was flip flopping all over the place. So you follow her lead. That's what I think. So,
yeah.
but yeah.
Okay. Do you want to go to what the experts had to say about people or two people
Yeah, so we're skipping over the section
with
as
just the
far
guys?
yeah, with just the guys. I didn't really have anything with that other than it came out that Justin and all the other guys hang and Nate doesn't.
Yeah,
So,
that was surprising. I thought it would have been the other way around. So maybe Justin unfollowed the girls.
with the way Nate made it seem was like he unfollowed everybody.
Well, if he unfollowed Nate and then unfollowed Stasha, and Stasha was coming to him and saying, "Oh, he unfollowed all the girls," like we don't know
Oh,
how much communication Nate has with the other men, so he might not have known. Oh, he still follows them.
yeah, I thought when he said he was unfollowing everyone, it was Miguel, Ben, like all of them. I'm like, oh, okay. So that was interesting. So, and Nate was just kind of looking like, I ain't trying to hang with these fools, no way.
Okay.
The way he kept looking.
Oh man, that's funny.
But yeah, that was all I had from that section.
Okay, so Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper sat down with Ben and was it Ben and Mitch first?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I loved what Pastor Cal said to Ben because that's what I needed. That was the message I needed amplified during Ben's portion of this season was like, hey, you can accept that you've done something wrong and still not like put yourself down and accept all the responsibility in the world for it. Like when Pastor Cal said, you got something going on for you too. Like you have something going for you too. I think that's the thing that I would have said to Ben a long, long, long time ago.
Yeah. And this is where I feel like the expert should have jumped in sooner with them.
Mhm.
But, who knows if it would have mattered.
Twitter was like, not the experts showing their faces after ghosting us all season.
I mean, I kind of almost feel like it was pointless for them to even show up
At the reunion.
at the
What was
reunion.
the point? So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like Mitch did more the same thing. He owned up to freaking out too soon. I will say though, I think the wedding was hard for both of them to watch back. I do think that Mitch was probably embarrassed about the way that he handled it, but
Mhm.
I'm kind of glad that okay, I'm not glad that he handled it the way that he did
Mhm.
because I can imagine that that was hurtful for Kristen. However, if he wasn't attracted to her, I wouldn't have wanted him to hold it in and pretend like he was.
Really?
really. I don't think he should have said anything maybe at the honeymoon, like day one or two.
Mhm.
Definitely not the way that he did, but then it's the trade-off that he says nothing, and then she just continued to think that there is attraction there. So I think he should have held it in, definitely not said it the way that he did. But I don't think he should have held it in all the way until the end either.
No, but I think, yeah, I guess I agree with you because there's a way to do it. So Alexis was very clear that at the beginning she didn't find Justin attractive, but she was open to it. And so if he could have done it in that way, fine, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, I the way he handled it, obviously.
And to go back to Alexis, I do think that Justin did start to sense the lack of attraction. Hence, him saying, like, oh, I felt like, she wasn't as into me. And he was so worried about her being out and all that kind of stuff.
Was that
Um,
attraction or was that attraction like physically or was it other types of attraction? Like at that point he had cried like 50 times.
oh, I think it was all of it. I think he sensed that she just wasn't that into him. And the attraction wasn't there either.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think for Mitch, there was a different way that he could have approached it. But Kristen seems like she was going to try regardless. And so if he hadn't, I don't know, if he hadn't been as harsh, I think she probably would have still had hope. Yeah.
Hmm. They said they were kissing after saying they wanted a divorce, but
Hence
that's
that.
or she. I understand her like saying, okay, that part was confusing to her. I can get that now. So the next people they brought on were Morgan and was it Kristen?
Morgan and Kristen.
Lord. Okay, so Morgan says she's working on reactivity. Um, of course, of course, when Pastor Cal says, "Oh, don't you think you could have handled it with more grace?" She goes, "No, I don't think so, girl. Get off my screen immediately." You
Oh,
don't think you could have
Lord.
handled that man with more grace? Like, really? Like, you need to talk about that with your therapist because she's like, I'm in therapy and I need to work on reactivity. No, don't like, how sometimes people get a very pretty word and dress up terrible actions with that word. That was reactivity for me. Like, oh, I need to work on reactivity. Like you didn't just throw this man's flower down, intentionally plan to like come and get in his face about things. Like, I don't know. I wasn't here for it. I don't think they held her accountable enough. I'm glad that Twitter exists because if she reads the tweets, then at least Twitter, I think, has held her accountable. And that's not to say that people should cyberbully. I don't think anybody's like
Mhm.
cyberbullying her. I think people are pointing out her actions in a way that nobody else during this season has pointed them out. Even at the end of the conversation with the experts, when they were like, we're so proud of the women you guys have become. I'm like, this lady just said she didn't think she could give this man more grace. What are we proud of?
Yeah, this is another area where the experts were just pointless. Like, what is the point of them being there if they aren't going to hold certain people accountable? For example, they should have held her accountable the way that they did Elijah Wan for his actions.
Not even Elijah. Oh, yeah, yes, but did you see how they were like leaning into Alexis? During her segment,
Hmm.
I was like, y'all are giving
And
Alexis way
Mitch,
too much feedback for my liking because where was this smoke from Morgan? And
nowhere.
not, I think Alexis does need some accountability. And to me, she has owned up to a lot of the things. So I understand why they wanted to have that conversation with her, but I don't think she did as bad of a job as Morgan did, and she was there the whole season versus just being a few weeks. So yeah, I didn't understand why she was getting more feedback than Morgan.
Yeah, they should have asked her if she was going to work on her line. That would have just cut straight to the point. I mean, I was waiting once again for somebody to say, hey, you
Yeah,
were the one that started this whole mess. If that's the real reason
yeah,
why, you decided you didn't want to continue forward, which I still don't believe. I
hmm
think she got wind that Ben wasn't as into her
yeah.
and is it wasn't as perfect as he expected her to be. And she rejected him before he had a full chance to be like,
Reject her.
you not the one.
Mm. Yeah,
That's
that makes
just what
sense.
yeah, that's just what I
Um,
think.
so then Alexis and Justin came out with the experts.
Mhm.
right? And so Justin was still saying he didn't think she was there for love. He's like, a man knows when a woman wants him, and she didn't want me after the honeymoon. And I get that. Like we can all read the signs. Like it was clear as day that
She was
he
trying
just
to act
wasn't
like
feeling him
she
like that.
yeah, she was she even at the reunion, her facial expressions, like, you could tell she was still trying to change the narrative, but we already saw what we needed
Yeah,
to see. And it's okay.
it really is.
It's
Like,
okay. I mean, I'll say though, I could appreciate though Pastor Cal trying to dig a little bit with her. Like, okay, if you really went into decision day and that was your answer, you wanted to say yes, how was this one argument going to be the thing?
hmm
And the truth is that it wasn't that argument. And
yeah,
really, she should have said no on decision day. So I didn't appreciate how they didn't dig into Morgan, but I appreciated how they were trying to hold her accountable. Like, girl, you knew this
yeah,
on decision day.
hmm
And then you waited a few hours to be like, nah, I'm out. So,
yeah. I wonder. I think it's a maturity thing because sometimes, like, you remember when we're talking about how she was afraid to say that she had quit? It's like, I think it takes maturity to quit on something and be 10 toes down. Like, yeah, I did quit because it wasn't serving me, which their relationship definitely wasn't serving her. And so I think, like, there was some immaturity on her part that hopefully she's like moved past, where she didn't want to look like the bad guy, or turn down a good guy, or was trying to push through and make things work that clearly weren't working, and stuff like that. So that's what I think happened. I think it was just like an immaturity thing where she felt like, I don't want this, but I feel like I have to say yes to like make things look better. I don't know.
yeah, I'd agree with that. And then they went on a little bit. Like, she talked about how, like, when he every time he would cry, like, the attraction would less.
Oh yeah.
Terrible. But then he said that he did ask her not to roast him in public, because I kept thinking, like, is he not hearing the things that we're hearing? And then she was like, oh, he doesn't want me to joke with him. It's like, no, girl,
Right.
you are roasting the heck out of
He
this
said
dude.
context matters, okay? What I had said was, I don't want you out here telling people my stroke is weak. Like,
That among, I mean, every opportunity she took. So,
every chance.
yes, you're right about the maturity and all of that. And maybe she didn't get exactly what she expected, but she really was roasting him
Yeah.
the entire season, which I didn't like because I felt like it made her look bad, and I
Yeah.
really didn't want that look for her. I wish she just would have kept it a bit cute when it came to stuff like that. Yeah.
I can't. But
A lot of that didn't need to be said. So,
very true. But again, I think they're both like cool people. I'm not gonna watch the Where Are They Now unless I'm extremely bored that night. But they seem like decent people. I think
mhm,
Alexis was married for marriage. Justin just wasn't her person. And
mm.
if it would have been a more assertive, not, I'm not saying that she wants somebody who's like tough on her or whatever, but someone who just knows how to like set those boundaries and, as she would say, regulate. I think she would have, responded better.
One thing that didn't come up after they drug out this entire reunion that I wish would have.
It could have been
I,
one episode, all of it.
seriously, I wish that the feedback that Nate was giving Alexis would have came up, because it was just strange. Like, there was a scene, I don't know when it was, but like, she was sitting in between them,
Hmm
and I just kept thinking, like, girl, I know Alexis, I know you saw what we saw about what he was saying about your behavior.
Yeah.
So I was just surprised that, like, that was something that should have come up. There was a
When they
lot of
talked
focus.
about the club, I thought, oh, it's definitely going to come up now, but then it didn't. I'm like, something, either it got
there's
cut
there
or
was this hyper focus, which, oh yeah, by the way, Nate was being a troll this episode, where
what?
I felt like, I'm like, all right, Nate, let it go. You do
He
it.
was doing that last episode. Remember when
You,
Justin came back out and he was like, "So you're not going to answer the question, Nate? Come
you
on."
do it. We get the point. Now you're just being a troll. You're doing too much.
Yeah.
I felt like there was so much focus on that,
Mhm.
And we all watched the season and saw how Nate wasn't here for Alexis. So I was surprised that that didn't come up. And I'd be surprised if it didn't come up between Alexis and Stasha.
Oh, it had to have, because even on the after party it came up. So yeah, it absolutely had to have come up with
Because
them.
to me, Alexis would have had more beef with Nate. Nate didn't say
Yeah.
too much about Justin throughout the season.
Yeah, at all. At all.
Yeah.
It was afterwards that that stuff happened. But yeah, he was roasting her. Like when, while she was over there roasting Justin, Nate was roasting her. I think she's immature. She not ready for marriage. She want to be at the club all the time, turning up with her little friends. Like
She's
he was going
messy.
in on her.
She's
Yeah, she's
gossiping.
messy. She's a
She's a
gossip.
liar. She's a liar. He took every chance he could. He kept us going through the season it with getting her together, and it just did not come up. I feel like them like they just drug out so much and didn't address things that could have made for better TV,
Yeah.
i.e. Morgan, like really digging into her. I'm sorry, holding Kristen a little bit accountable for being overly, I think, thirsty
Available.
and available for marriage. This whole situation with Alexis and Nate.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh well.
Here we
It
are.
is what it is. I guess they all came together at the end. We saw the preview for next season, and then the "Where Are They Now" preview. It looks like Stasha asks for separation, which apparently it's just a few weeks after the reunion show that they do the "Where Are They Now." So they're going to be separating, and then I don't know what's happening with Lindy and Miguel, but the streets say they're not together anymore.
So
Yeah,
what does that make us? 0 for 0?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
So that's really all that I have on this. We really just came to wrap this season up. And Bo, make sure you guys are subscribed to our channel. We do have a podcast, so check out our podcast. It's available on Spotify, Apple. What is it? Apple Podcast,
Yeah.
Google Podcasts, Anchor. We're available everywhere. So check out our episodes. We have over 60 at this point. So yeah, listen to our podcast, subscribe to our channel, and we will
Yeah.
definitely be back for next season. And hopefully we'll have more of our podcast episodes out next season, but we'll see at
Yeah.
that point. All right. Thank you guys for a good season. We'll
All
see you guys
right.
next year. Bye.
Bye.